Hey legends, James Russell from Tradie VA, and every week in the Time Rich Tradie, we find out what it takes to build a trade empire, get you off those tools and not spend 80 hours a week doing it. If you like what you hear, subscribe to get more juice. And today we are diving back into one of the hottest topics in business right now as we continue our series on AI and where it possibly fits into a trade business. We know it's a challenging topic and one that people avoid going, it's not really part of what I do. But joining me today is Kit. Now, Kit's actually recently come on board as our head of AI automation and technology. Yes, there is an actual whole role for that with us and is an expert in getting businesses to use tech to work smarter, not harder. Kit, thank you so much for coming on today. Tell us about your background and what led you to focus on helping trades with AI and automation.
I'm actually a registered nurse, but prior to that, I studied computer science. So I kind of ended up in the role of IT in the healthcare industry. And throughout the years, I've helped many organizations, both healthcare and non-healthcare, with their digital transformation and adoption of technology, which includes AI in the past few years.
And so tell me a little bit about now that you've been dealing with trades, you've been with us now for 5 months,
Mhm.
almost 5 months, seeing that they already are so busy as they are. What would you say is one simple, practical way that they can start to claim some of their time back and make things a bit easier and use AI for that?
It's something that we've been practicing here. One of the things that we encourage and we actually require our clients is to do an offboarding exercise. So what that means is using AI and simple to use tools to capture their business processes, capture their intent and their thought process, and convert that into something that's documented, something that's actionable for that matter, right? Something that can be converted into learning materials and sent to the VAs, and the VAs can understand and use as a reference when they're doing their test.
Bottom line is getting stuff out of their brain, be able to
Exactly.
get someone else to do it pretty much. And it starts with just starting to record what they do. So that's that. And it's interesting how, I think the analogy we use is it's a little bit like when you freeze your brain, but
Uh-huh.
we don't have the technology yet to bring you back to life. But if you don't freeze your brain now, then you're not going to be able to do it in the future. So record what you do now. You may not use it tomorrow. You may be totally happy doing your admin, doing whatever you're doing right now,
Mm-hmm.
but with how we're already using AI, record what you don't waste it, and it can absolutely be used. So that's a great way to start because it's a one click. So yes, as you said, Kit, just keep it simple, stupid. Start off with the one click
Uh-huh.
option. And after that, give me some examples, like some other everyday tasks, other than I guess that creating the systems off
Right.
their videos that AI and automation can start to take off a tradie business owner or even a team member right now.
In fact, just a few hours ago, I spent a considerable amount of time with a VA who's asking me to help him organize their emails and social media with the use of AIs. But instead of writing down and putting these emails, social media posts together, they want to try to use AI to create those different personalities, different touch of creative content that reflects both their business identity and the culture that they want to have for their prospective customers to see. Yeah, so that's taken a lot, I would say, savings in terms of time and also that creative powers. And that's,
You're talking about building some mini me's here,
yes,
training
yes,
up some
that's
little AI mini me's so that they're talking in your voice. It's
right.
always been something I can't tell you how many times someone would say, oh, but they're never going to speak like me. They're not from here. You know what? With AI, they can, right? And so I think that's a great way of putting it is building some personality into what you were saying with drafting and sending emails, right? That's
Yeah.
obviously an easy way to start. And it was interesting. I was talking to you about it the other day around it's not just getting your voice written in an email. But if you've
Mm-hmm.
got guys out in the techies out in the field, you might have 5 or 6 techs. And I don't know about you, but they're always one guy will write things in job notes that is 3 paragraphs, another guy writes 3 words, one guy likes to write past tense, another guy present, whatever, right? Using AI to say, look, here's a voice transcription or some notes from
Mm-hmm.
Harry, Frank, and Bob, but I want to make them all look like professional invoices because I guarantee Harry, Frank, and Bob aren't writing professional looking invoices, right? So getting that data off site and turning it into something professional and consistent is something that I know you and me have worked with quite well with the talent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So should tradies see it as a threat or an advantage?
I would say it a little bit of both, right? If you're doing it, you can practically multiply your your hours. You can do things faster. You can just sending out emails. Some tradies that we've talked to in the past few months have expressed that they spend about 5, 6 hours every week at the minimum just sending out emails. So with the use of AI, they can send it in a matter of minutes instead of hours, for that matter. Plus, what you've mentioned is that consistency. It leaves little room to mistakes, which allows them to get more deals. I wouldn't say it's a threat that the tradies or their roles will be obsolete. It's more of threat versus the other tradies, the other organizations who have found their way into maximizing the potential of AI and have just beat them to it, right? So
So it's
I
not, but we're
think
talking about the threat is the opportunity cost. The threat
that
is
is true.
the
That
threat
is
is
true.
more that if you don't start looking at how it can make you more efficient, then others will be. And as we well know, if the more efficient your business is, the more profit you make
Hmm.
and the
Hmm.
more price competitive you can be. If you're weighed down by back office and manual stuff while everybody else is getting more efficient, you're falling behind. I think it was interesting. I was talking to Sparky the other day, and he was saying that the other threat is thinking that you're not going to, some of these roles, especially electricians and builders,
Hmm.
architects, things in that design space, that people aren't going to start expecting that they're using AI. I think now it's one of those, oh, geez, I don't want people to think I'm using AI, but it won't be long before it's the other way around, where people are going to go, oh, geez, I'm working with a company who's not powered by getting some AI in the background. I
Hmm.
must be
Hmm.
getting good value. So it's an interesting way of looking at it is, yep, competition, but also client expectations. And so what do you reckon, what is that one AI or automation that you reckon's the total game changer, something that would make them think, why didn't I do this sooner?
Video recording that translates your work and putting that in a document. I would say right now it would be those interactive chatbot like ChatGPT, Claude, and also similar tools. But it really depends on how you use them right now. Think of them as a tool rather than or a hybrid of that, right? A tool is when you give instructions to that ChatGPT and tells it, do this for me. But at the same time, there's that opportunity for that GPT to help you interact and ask you the right questions so you can feed it the right inputs and generate the content that you want, right? So it's that kind of dynamic interaction. You're not just talking to a form, you're not just talking to a website where you enter information. You can actually ask it to have that kind of personality, act as an expert, act as a this creative, right? So going back to my example earlier, this VA was asked to create these email templates and social media posts. He said that, how can I even do that? I'm not a creative, right? I can do these invoices, operation stuff, but I don't have that creativity in my mind. And I asked him, okay, if you are to hire a creative person, what would be the characteristics? What would be the personalities? What tools do you want that person? And what skills do you want that person to have? And I showed him how he can interact and put all of those information.
That's right. So what we're talking about here is saying we're not talking about ChatGPT being a one thing. It is
Uh,
a place where you go, all right, it's you choose who you want to hire, and that's how you
Right.
start that conversation. And then you can say, I'm hiring you as, and if we were going to look
Mm-hmm.
at a typical day for a tradie or a VA, you say, hey, right now I'm going to hire you. It's the morning, and we've got a whole bunch of guys we need to chase for money. I'm going to hire you as a debt collector, and I need you to show me how to write really good emails requesting this debt from these people. Then a few minutes later, it could be hiring them to being a creative, like you said, and it could be a customer service professional dealing with a complaint. And again, I think what you said before, which was really interesting, is you don't even need to know what they need to know. You
Right.
just need, you go, I'm hiring you as this. Can you ask me what you need to know for me to do your job?
Mm-hmm.
I know for
Mm-hmm.
me, I very rarely ask ChatGPT to do anything because honestly, I don't think I'm very good at writing prompts, but at least I can write the prompt that asks them to write the prompt. Hey, tell me what you need to know in order for me to get my objective,
Mm-hmm.
which is getting my money or having them love and want to click on my business. I think that's a really interesting way of looking at the day in the life is if you had that little person sitting on that other screen always, and you could just hire whoever you needed, whenever you needed, that's what they are. And it doesn't, I think something that gets a lot of people confused at the moment is there seems to be a million apps that
Mm-hmm.
kind of do bits and pieces and pre-build this stuff. But at the end of the day, they're just working off all the same back end. And you
True.
just
True.
start simple, right? And so how would you say that someone started if they wanted to do one thing right now? What would they do?
I would say just get in there, right? Get in the game. They have to try it out. They have to see how it works. I've had conversations with several JDs and I asked them about what do you know about AI, and they would share, oh, okay, it can do this, it can do that, the game changer, blah blah blah. But when I asked them, so what AI tools have you used? And they'll say, I don't really have time for that. So it's a matter of getting in the game, trying out first, just like any technology, right? Back in the days, people are so afraid to use smartphones. Nowadays, it's expected of everybody, right? It's difficult for me to see a tradie not having specialized app for what they do. From the most basic things I had a tradie who went to my house back in Auckland, and he was measuring how um, the surface is using an app. Okay, he's using a phone to do that. Oh, okay. I didn't even know that you can do that with your phone. He was just using his iPhone, nothing, no special equipment for that purpose. Down to sending an invoice right after our transaction, he asked for my email address. And then he just put it in an app, and then I received the invoice, and I clicked a link, and I paid through that. And he's a tradie, right?
That's
So,
it. And the thing is, like you said, you don't need to know how to use it. Just
uh-huh.
ask. You might be struggling with it's whatever you're struggling. If you got a million emails in your box, if quoting is a problem, scheduling, invoicing, don't think about don't think about yourself. How can AI help?
Mm-hmm.
Ask it. Literally say, hey, I'm using Simpro and I am struggling to do my invoicing. How can you help me to do this faster? And ask it. Have a conversation. Like you said, just start a conversation. Hey, this if you don't ask, the answer is always no. That's it,
That is
man.
so true.
I love it. And I love the idea that we are every day just working on this stuff. And this is actually a role now, right? 5 years
Mm-hmm.
ago, I would have laughed my ass off to think that working with tradies and I'd have a head of AI automation technology, but it's absolute blessing. Love working with you. Um, and I think, we're going to see a lot of this stuff come, and I know we're going to probably have you back. And what do you reckon, though, looking into the future, where do you see 1, 3 years from now? What is something that AI and automation is going to do in the industry that we aren't thinking about?
I would say it will be seamless and ubiquitous, right? So right now you have to be conscious of it. It needs to be a conscious effort to make it part of your workflow. But I can imagine in 3, 5 years it will be very much part of what we do, where we are in our environment, right? In Auckland, my house have Alexa or all over it, right? So from turning off the lights to asking what the weather will be, which is often not that accurate to live with, right? So when I wake up, when I'm having coffee at 6 a.m., Alexa would start and walk me through my day. What's my appointments? What's my meetings? Tell me what's the weather? How much time will it take from my house to my office, right? So it's, and whenever I don't hear that for whatever reason, I just don't feel that it's complete, right? So
Uh, that's hilarious. These business owners, tradies, myself included, we get into business because we think we don't want to be told what to do. But then really all we want is to be told what to do, which I just love that you'd love to be told. By the way, we don't use the A word because otherwise she hears us. She's behind me. So we call her Alicia when we want to
uh-huh.
talk about her, not to her. It will be very interesting to see how AI will actually be helping us to plan and tell us what we're doing. And they're just as naturally as it should be, because our
Hmm.
brains aren't meant to remember stuff. I'm looking forward to that too. I'm sure a lot of my clients would love to be told exactly, hey, this is what you need to do today. And they're like, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full. Honestly, people think it's scary. I think it's amazing. It's the one last thing I don't have to think about. Thank you so much for being on today. And I think we're going to make sure that there's going to be a couple of links down below. We've talked about a few things today, but there will be a link to the tool we use that we spoke about, Komodo, to kind of record that. If you want to start again, freezing that brain of yours to use it, that'll be down below. So feel free to check that out. And again, start to not waste your time. If you're going to do something, record it so that it can be given to someone else when you want it to. There'll be a couple of links below. Check it out. We will have more episodes, obviously, on AI, automation, and how to make your life easier, because it is all about getting the same result, scaling without spending 80 hours a week doing it. So thanks again, Kit. Love having you on board, and catch you next time.